Just waiting. So,
huge delegation, isn't it?
yeah.
Roche.
That is like that with big countries. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and pleasure to welcome in Luxembourg the Prime Minister of Poland, Donalda Tusk. I'm welcoming the Prime Minister of Poland. I'm also welcoming a friend of Luxembourg, a friend of Europe. And we appreciate very much, as Luxembourgers, that the Prime Minister of Poland is coming to Luxembourg, one of the European capitals, at the very beginning of his term in office. I'm in office since a little bit longer than the Prime Minister. He has been there before. I'm here for the first time in that function. But since the beginning of our respective terms in office, we have had quite a number of meetings together. This was our second bilateral meeting. I was welcomed very kindly by Prime Minister Tusk in Warsaw. He came now to Luxembourg, and this is very important for the various parts of Europe to cooperate closer. There are so many issues where we need to work together. And I think I can say that we share a lot of views on how to make Europe safer. Security is a key issue, especially at these times where we are in the midst of a war on the border of Europe, in Ukraine, also in the Middle East. We believe that we need to strengthen the competitiveness of Europe, make sure that we are not falling behind the United States and China. We need to have that to create jobs, and therefore I think it's important that we strengthen also the economic cooperation between our countries. We believe, the two leaders that we are, very much in democracy and the rule of law. That is a fundamental European value. That is one of the bases on which Europe has been built. And we are very, very pleased to see that Prime Minister Tusk is sharing these same beliefs and has fought a lot for those in his career, and also is doing so at the European level. That is very important for us, and I can say so even more, this in a country where the rule of law has been violated when Nazi Germany invaded Luxembourg during the Second World War. That is one of the reasons why we became such a strong supporters of the European integration project, and that's why we are proud to host also in this country institutions such as the European Court of Justice or the European Investment Bank, to combine again rule of law and prosperity, the two cornerstones of the European integration project. But we did not only talk about big principles, we're also talking about the daily working of our European institutions and of our bilateral relationship. We have both attended in the last few hours an important first gathering of the European heads of state and government following the European elections. That was a very useful and enriching exchange of views. What is important for me from the perspective where we stand is that we can see that 2/3 of the members of the newly elected European Parliament are of pro-European parties of the political center. It is those parties that believe in democracy, security, competitiveness, and the European People's Party has come out first out of these elections. And I can say that here, despite we representing our nations, but we are also politicians, and Donald Tusk is doing a great job on behalf of the European People's Party in discussing with the other democratic forces in the newly elected European Parliament to come to a solution, hopefully in the coming week, on how we can put content and positions together. Sometimes I get the impression that when reading the media that we are only talking about jobs. No, we are talking about content. We believe in a certain agenda which was strengthened by the European elections, and that now has to be put into place. And of course, to put that into place, you need adequate people, but I think we make good progress, and I'm hopeful that in the coming week or so we can come to a solution there. On the bilateral level, what is important for me is to strengthen the economic relationship between our two countries. There are already a number of Luxembourg companies active in Poland, the other way around as well, but there are also new areas where we want to explore cooperation. Defense is an important issue for all of our countries. Defense is never an issue just for one country, so we as Luxembourg will also increase our defense expenditure in the coming years, and I will make a more detailed announcement at the NATO summit in Washington in July. But the core of that is that we will increase our defense expenditure, because a small country also depends on the solidarity of others. So we are grateful for what Poland is doing for our collective security, but it's not just something we can leave to the others. We cannot just leave it to the Americans. We cannot just leave it to our neighbors. We need to take part of that. So we will explore areas of cooperation. Luxembourg has, as some of you know, great know-how in the areas of satellites, hosting the largest civilian satellite company of the world in Luxembourg. We have quite a know-how in data centers. All these areas, also areas of potential cooperation with our Polish friends, and I'm grateful for our Polish friends that we can look into these for the benefit of our people. Finally, I think that energy is important for all of us. Renewable energy. We all take the climate change serious. We need to find a pragmatic way to change our companies, our societies. That cannot be imposed. That must be done by incentives. But we as prime ministers and we as leaders of our countries must make sure that there is also necessary interconnectedness of our grids through Europe, so that we can together produce more renewable energy, various sources of energy, and then to share that in an effort of solidarity to become less dependent on the rest of the world. These are just a few of the areas that we discussed. And again, I'm very grateful for my friend Donald Tusk to have come to Luxembourg. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us as Luxembourgers and to me as the brand new Luxembourg Prime Minister. I think we have a lot to discuss also in the coming weeks and months. We meet in the formal and informal council formations in Europe, but it's also important that as countries we get together, and I can promise you that this visit will not be the last bilateral talk, because I have plans to, as you kindly invited me to come to your country to visit in the near future for various issues, also your country. So I look forward to our cooperation for the years to come. Thank you for being there, Donald.
Thank you very much, dear friends, Mr. Prime Minister, dear Luke. Thank you for your invitation, and I'm really happy that I'm here together with you after quite an important moment in our modern history in Europe, the recomposition of the institutions in such a historical moment like today. This is something really meaningful, and I'm really happy that in these demanding times I'm in Poland and Luxembourg, and we both as a good friends, that we are able to cooperate so intensively and so closely. Relations between Poland and Luxembourg, just like my relations with Prime Minister Frieden, are indeed exemplary. They are defined by mutual trust, respect, and common views on virtually everything when it comes to EU policies. And this is something unique today. You know, it's unique, maybe it's too much to say, but I really appreciate your openness and that I can feel with you, my friend, really safe. Because mutual trust, this is what we need today in Europe, and this is first condition to establish also a new political composition in our institutions. We discussed our priorities after European elections and, of course, top appointments in EU institutions. As a negotiator on behalf of our European People's Party, I would like to assure you that together with our partners in the European Council and the European Parliament, that is the Socialists and the Democrats and the Liberals, we are really close to achieving an agreement. It is most likely that Ursula von der Leyen, Antonio Costa and Kaja Kallas will take top positions. And I am pretty sure that the leaders will take their formal final decisions next week during our formal European Council meeting. I was really satisfied that all of us, I mean the members of the European Council, share the same priorities, in particular our support for Ukraine against the Russian aggression, the need for common action on EU external borders against illegal migration and hybrid attacks organized every single day by the regimes of Putin and Lukashenko. And thank you very much. Luke, you was the first so-called Western leaders who understood really well the situation on our border. And Luxembourg's Prime Minister was the first one who said openly that this is not a Polish-Belarusian border. It's a European border. It's also Luxembourgish border. And this is why I think it's really important to have such a partner to convince other people in Europe that our borders, this is our common responsibility. It's a European duty, not only for one country. Poland bears a special burden as the only country in Europe which shares common borders with Belarus, Russia, and the fighting Ukraine. And this is why we are absolutely convinced that all Europe must take common responsibility for its territory, its external borders, and for air defense. I want to strongly underline that the talks between negotiators, I mean President Macron, Chancellor Scholz, Prime Minister Sanchez, Prime Minister Rutte, Prime Minister Mitsotakis, and myself, were very constructive. Really, it's not a slogan. No, it's I am, as you know, quite experienced guy when it comes to European negotiations and activities. And the process now, it's really smoothly and fast compared to the previous terms. And we have good reasons to be more optimistic than ever before when this kind of process is started. All my interlocutors demonstrated goodwill and understanding of what is at stake, namely a stable and safe Europe. And as you know, it's not so easy to find a common position among leaders of different political parties and political families. Luxembourg today is rather a unique model of this ability to build a great coalition, coalition built by competitors. In Europe, it's really difficult, and I know what I'm talking about, taking into account the situation, political situation in my country. And this is why I am so optimistic, because we are, as I said, really close to compromise on priorities and also personality, the personal decisions. despite the fact that sometimes, especially during the campaign, we were competitors also. And this is why I'm absolutely sure that the process will be really quick and efficient. We are all aware of how important it is to protect Europe. Europe as a continent, Europe as a political civilization, and of course EU as an organization against populism and all kinds of extremisms. This is why we decided, together with Prime Minister and our colleagues from EPP, European People's Party, to start our negotiations with center-oriented and pro-European parties. But of course, we want to respect all the political powers in the new elected European Parliament, because they represent also people. I mean, there's no other choice. But someone should start the process of negotiations. And our choice is quite clear, not only because we have majority now, it's 3 groups in the Parliament, but also that despite all the differences and sometimes political conflicts and emotions, we are clearly pro-European powers. And this is, obviously, this is one of the most important conditions to find compromise when it comes to this new construction of European institutions and new names. The responsibility for this task, I mean to protect Europe against extremism, is in the hands of all pro-European moderate parties which respect European values. And I hope that the circle of this kind of political movements and powers will be much wider than only these three groups. And we will do together with Mr. Prime Minister all we can to protect this process against some turbulences or problems. And I am absolutely sure that with your talents and with your really European temperament, we will be able to finalize this process as soon as possible. Thank you.